There are places on Earth where even the bravest souls feel their courage melt into fear. Where the water doesn't just ripple, it pulses like a heartbeat. Strange, otherworldly sounds echo from below, deep, growling roars that seem almost alive. Legends have long warned us the ocean is not merely a vast body of water. It's a living, breathing mystery, one that guards its secrets jealously. But what if those sounds aren't just the ocean whispering? What if there's something far worse? Something ancient, waiting, watching, and ready to rise. The ocean covers over 70% of our planet's surface and holds more than 80% of all life on Earth. But despite its dominance, we've explored less than 10% of its mysterious depths. We've sent astronauts to walk on the moon. We've sent probes billions of miles to Mars, Saturn, even beyond our solar system. But the deep sea, it remains Earth's most untouched frontier. So hostile, so alien, that even our most advanced machines tremble there. It's cold, utterly dark. Pressures so intense they would crush a human like paper. It's not meant for us. And yet, we keep pushing deeper. And in doing so, we found more than we ever wanted. Fragments of shipwrecks with no origin. Voices recorded at depths where no living soul could be. Sounds that mimic human speech, but come from places where no life should exist. And sometimes we find structures, carvings, technology, perhaps too advanced for even us. And questions. Endless questions. Tonight we descend beyond myth, past science, into that hollow place where nightmares fester. These are real stories, verified data, eyewitness accounts. Are they connected? Or is the ocean simply a reflection of our most primal fear? The fear of the unknown. Strap in. We're not telling tales. We're surfacing buried truths. 1. The bloop. In 1997, deep beneath the crushing weight of the South Pacific Ocean, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, was conducting routine sound surveillance. Using a network of hydrophones originally designed to detect the silent movements of Soviet submarines during the Cold War, they listened to the eerie quiet of the deep. Day after day, the recordings captured the expected background hums of the ocean, whale songs, tectonic rumbles, distant currents, until one day something changed. A noise, a single massive burst of sound, unlike anything ever recorded by mankind, deep, organic, and terrifyingly loud. The sound, later dubbed the bloop, lasted for over a minute. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. It was detected on multiple sensors over 3,000 miles apart. For that to happen, the source of the sound had to be unimaginably powerful and, more alarmingly, enormous in size. No known sea creature, no geological process, no man-made object could account for what was recorded that day. Scientists scrambled to find answers. At first, they clung to rational explanations. Ice quakes caused by shifting Antarctic glaciers. A plausible, natural phenomenon. But as the waveform was analyzed more closely, doubts began to creep in. The sound had patterns. It wasn't random. It bore structure, rhythm, repetition, like a call or a cry. Its acoustic signature eerily mirrored that of known marine animals. Yet it was magnitudes louder than even a blue whale, the loudest animal on Earth. And then came the most unsettling revelation. The approximate location of the sound's origin? It sat disturbingly close to the coordinates of a place most believed was entirely fictional, R'lyeh, the fabled sunken city described in the mythos of H.P. Lovecraft. The resting place of an ancient, sleeping god, Cthulhu. Was it coincidence? Or had Lovecraft tapped into some hidden truth, buried deep within our world's oceans? In the following months, the ocean's silence was pierced again and again. Strange new recordings surfaced. Clicking noises like massive bones snapping underwater, rhythmic pulses like sonar, metallic screeches as if ancient machines were turning in the dark. Then, without warning, everything stopped. The hydrophones picked up nothing. The deep returned to silence, but the unease remained. Soon after, ships started to disappear, research vessels, fishing trawlers, even private yachts. Entire crews gone, without distress signals, without wreckage, just vanished, all within the same region where the bloop had first echoed from the deep. NOAA eventually released a statement claiming the sound was most likely caused by ice fracturing, but many within the organization, off the record, disputed this conclusion. Some hinted that the true nature of the sound had been classified, suppressed. Was it a call to others, a warning, or a summons from something that should never have awakened? To this day, no conclusive explanation exists. The ocean remains vast, mysterious, and uncharted, and whatever made the bloop, whatever massive ancient entity stirred beneath the waves, has never been seen again. Or perhaps it's still there, waiting, listening, dreaming in the dark, and one day it may rise again. The Mariana Trench, the deepest, most mysterious part of the ocean, plunging nearly 7 miles into the Earth's crust. It's a place of pressure so intense it could crush a human in seconds, and yet it remains one of the last unexplored frontiers on Earth. We've mapped more of Mars than we have of its shadowed floor. In 2018, a Japanese deep-sea research team launched a mission, part of a tectonic survey project funded by the Oceanic Science Initiative. They deployed a state-of-the-art ROV, a remote-operated vehicle named Deep Echo. Its mission, to descend into the trench and study seismic activity. But what it found was not a tremor. It was a ghost. Roughly 6 hours into the dive, Deep Echo sent back footage of something unnatural. A shipwreck. No, not a wreck. A ship. Entire. Intact. Perfectly preserved at the bottom of the trench. It sat upright like it had gently rested there. No visible corrosion. No signs of implosion. And no name. The hull was bare. No flags. No numbers. No identifying marks. The metal looked old. Too old to be so untouched by time. Barnacle-free. As if the ocean itself dared not cling to it. The team scrambled. Every maritime database, every naval registry was searched. Not a single match. No ship had ever been recorded sinking at that depth, and none should have survived the pressure. Then, the ROV's audio sensors picked up a sound. A soft, rhythmic tapping. At first they dismissed it, assumed it was the ROV's echo bouncing off the trench walls. But then, the tapping changed. It became irregular, patterned, responsive, like Morse code, like a message. Deep Echo was instructed to approach. As it did, its lights began to flicker. The feed glitched, visual static crawled across the screen, and then interference, voices, barely audible beneath the static, children laughing, a woman humming a lullaby, and then a scream, one that cut through the comms like it was coming from inside the control room. Panic broke out. The mission director ordered an immediate surface retrieval. But just before the video feed cut to black, one frame, just one, slipped through. A silhouette, standing at the ship's helm, motionless, watching. The footage was buried, the event classified by the agency. But one researcher, now retired, leaked what little he remembered. He claimed the ship had no crew, because the ship was the crew, or what was left of them. Some believe the vessel is a relic, a cursed ship damned to drift the ocean floor, trapping the souls of whoever boards it. Others say it's not a ship at all, but something else. Something older, a lure, a mimic, a siren in metal clothing. And here's the part that chills even the most skeptical scientists. The coordinates where Deep Echo recorded the ship? They were revisited, twice, and nothing was there. Not even the ocean floor looked disturbed. No trace of the vessel, as if it moved, or worse, as if it's still moving, waiting, watching, lurking in the dark. Below 3,000 feet, sunlight disappears entirely. The water becomes black as obsidian, a realm untouched by warmth, untouched by time. But to think it's lifeless is a mistake. Down there, the darkness shines. Bioluminescence, a word that sounds scientific, almost sterile. But in the deep sea, it's something far more disturbing. Creatures down here don't just glow. They lure, deceive, mimic, and manipulate. Light is their weapon, and their invitation. The anglerfish is perhaps the most well-known. A bulb of blue-white light pulses from a rod on its forehead. To a small fish or shrimp in the dark, it's a beacon of hope. But it's false, a trap. One flick of movement, and jaws filled with needle teeth snap shut. Then there's the comb jelly, alien and silent. Its body flows with rainbow-like waves, not from pigment, but from cilia refracting light. It mesmerizes prey and predator alike, beauty used like a hypnotist's watch. But not all light makes sense. Some defies biology. In 2022, a Japanese marine research team deployed a deep-sea ROV into the Kuril-Kamchatka Trench. It was a routine dive, until it wasn't. At a depth of over 29,000 feet, the drone's camera picked up movement, an anomaly. A spiral-shaped entity slowly emerged from the blackness. It didn't swim, it unfolded, like a ribbon unwinding in water. Glowing tendrils extended in perfect symmetry, forming arcs, circles, and then symbols. Not random markings, not natural. Each tendril pulsed with glyph-like patterns, intricate as ancient scripts. Symbols flickered one after another, shifting in sequence as if trying to communicate or warn. And then everything changed. The ROV's sensors began to fail. Data streams dropped. Lights dimmed, static crackled, then went dead. When the footage was reviewed later, the final frame revealed something no one could explain. One of the glyphs, now frozen, had been burned into the camera's internal lens, not digitally, not a malfunction, as if the light had physically etched itself onto the glass, like a scar. Radiation experts examined the lens. They found molecular-level distortion, like the lens had been briefly exposed to an extreme but focused energy source, light that didn't just illuminate, but branded. Theorists began to argue. Was it a message? A warning? Some believed the patterns resembled proto-languages, ancient Sumerian, Mayan, even Sanskrit, but none matched exactly. Others proposed something more disturbing, that it wasn't a language at all, but camouflage. Camouflage not for hiding from predators, but from us. Symbols designed to mimic human sacred geometries, circles, spirals, golden ratios, patterns we subconsciously recognize, as if it wanted to appear mythical, divine, or at least familiar. One scientist called it a cognitive lure, a design made to hijack the human brain, to draw attention, evoke awe, even worship. After all, humans are more likely to approach the unknown when it feels sacred. But what if it wasn't trying to communicate or hide? What if the lights are not messages, not weapons, but locks? Imagine, every glowing signal in the deep is a code, a barrier, a keyhole. And when we send our probes, our lights, our questions, we're not just observing, we're turning the tumblers, one glyph at a time. What if the ocean wasn't hiding life, but sealing it away? 4. The cursed Atlantis. For centuries, The legend of Atlantis has hovered between myth and memory, a tale of utopia turned cautionary, a city swallowed whole by the wrath of the sea. Plato called it a marvel, an advanced civilization that fell to its own arrogance, a fable, a metaphor. But what if it wasn't just a warning? What if Atlantis was never destroyed, only hidden? In 2020, a team of deep-sea divers was conducting a survey off the coast of the Azores Islands, where the mid-Atlantic ridge cuts through the ocean floor like a scar. The mission was routine, mapping underwater terrain, cataloging magnetic fields, until they detected something unnatural. The equipment began to misbehave. Compasses spun without cause. Instruments glitched. A dense magnetic field, unlike anything previously recorded in that region, surged from beneath the seabed. Intrigued, they descended. What they found should not have existed. At a depth of nearly 9,000 feet, a network of geometric patterns emerged. Roads, paved with stone too precise to be natural. Steps descending into darkness. Archways that defied erosion, and walls. Walls lined with symbols that shimmered in their lights. Glyphs not belonging to any known language, dead or living. The stone was unlike anything found in the region. Smooth, dark, cool to the touch, even beneath the crushing pressure of the ocean. Lab analysis would later reveal something chilling. It was engineered. Fused at a molecular level, the material wasn't native to Earth's crust as we know it. But that was just the beginning. One diver, a veteran of over 200 missions, radioed in a whisper, "I think something's watching us." Another claimed to hear his name echoing through his head, though no one else heard it. He returned to the surface, wide-eyed and silent, refusing to explain further. Then the incidents began. A third diver convulsed mid-descent, his body rigid, his mouth foaming. The audio feed caught him muttering, a low, guttural chant in no identifiable tongue. His vitals spiked, then plummeted. When he was hauled back, his pupils were fully dilated. He remembered nothing. Another diver surfaced laughing, uncontrollably, hysterically, then fell dead silent. He quit diving forever. The expedition was terminated, classified, the footage locked away. But rumors, they leaked. Whispers passed between researchers and salvage crews, stories of Atlantis not as paradise, but as containment. Some now believe that what lies beneath the Atlantic is not a lost kingdom, but a crypt. A vault built not to protect Atlantis from the world, but to protect the world from what Atlantis uncovered. Archaeologists speculate. Did the Atlanteans dig too deep? Did they unleash something ancient, older than civilization itself? A force that seeped from the ocean floor and drove a golden empire to madness? Atlantean legends speak of a source, a dark light that pulsed beneath their temples. Some worshipped it, others warned against it. Civil war tore the city apart, and in a desperate act, they sealed it, buried it beneath the waves, but not before its curse touched them all. We weren't meant to find it. Yet we kept digging, greedy, curious, blind. And now we may have cracked the door to something we cannot understand, a presence that waits in the cold dark, patient, watching. Atlantis didn't fall. It was locked away. And we may have just lost the key. 5. Creatures of the abyss. They've always haunted the edges of legend and nightmare. Leviathan, kraken, sea serpents twisting through the ancient fears of sailors, explorers, and deep-sea wanderers. We call them myths, tales, exaggerations born from isolation and madness on endless oceans. But what if they weren't stories? What if they were warnings? The ocean is a vast black universe unto itself, largely unmapped, largely unknown. Over 80% of it remains unexplored. In the abyssal zones, beyond where sunlight has ever touched, life warps into alien shapes. Down there, the pressure can crush a nuclear submarine like a soda can. Down there, things exist that should not. In 2019, a deep-sea sonar mission scanning a trench near the Mariana recorded something impossible, a moving object over 600 feet long, cold-blooded according to sensors, yet warm enough to emit detectable heat in freezing waters. It swam beneath the survey vessel at a steady pace, then dove, vanishing off the grid. No whale matches its signature. No geological formation explains it. It moved like it had a mind. In 2023, off the coast of Antarctica, a Navy drone captured something even stranger. A thermal signature beneath the ice shelf, glowing red against a field of icy blue. As the drone emitted sonar pings to identify it, the object responded, not with a natural echo, but with a deliberate return pattern. It was not bouncing the sound, it was replying. The drone sent 3 more pings. Each time, the response came faster, almost like a conversation, almost like intelligence. Fishermen in the Pacific and Indian Oceans have long told of singing nights, times when the sea goes utterly still. No wind, no waves. Then comes the sound, a deep, harmonic hum, not from above or below, but all around them. Boats rock, compasses fail, radios hiss. One trawler captain said it felt like being inside the lungs of something asleep and dreaming. After the hum, there's always a silence. Not peace, not calm, but a silence that feels aware. Like the sea itself is holding its breath. Some vessels vanish. Others return days later, adrift and empty, engines dead, hulls scarred by deep gouges, as if something massive scraped past in the dark. In 2022, a private deep-sea probe launched by a tech firm off the coast of Chile sent back footage before going dark. The final frame? A flash of movement, something vast, ridged and pulsing, brushing the camera. Analysts called it distortion. One dismissed it as deep-sea debris, but the engineers who reviewed the data refused to speak publicly. Several quit. Biologists offer theories: gigantic squids, unrecorded whales, echoes of extinct species. But what if we're not just looking into the past? What if we're brushing against something we were never meant to find? Some scientists now believe that life in the ocean may have evolved along multiple paths. Some never meant to surface. Some never meant to meet us. Life shaped by extreme isolation, darkness, and pressure. Creatures so different from anything on land that we wouldn't even recognize them as life. Or worse, what if they're not from Earth at all? Ancient visitors, or ancient prisoners, and we're the intruders. We send drones, submersibles, drills. We map the floor, we probe the trenches, we stir the silt of ancient graves, every sonar ping, every seismic vibration. It's like knocking on the door of something that never wanted to be found. And sometimes, the deep answers back. Ships go missing. Equipment fails, strange shadows cross under oil rigs, and always those same reports. Deep singing, still water, unseen watchers. Whatever they are, they're not gone. They never were. They're older than our history, larger than our imaginations, and they may not be sleeping anymore. They're still down there, watching, waiting, and remembering us.